Lately, I've seen a lot of posts on Twitter, Reddit and YouTube about how people get scammed in old school RuneScape, and it's making me worried that even in 2024, a lot of people are getting conned by other players. So I thought, okay, how can I help? And I went through multiple players who've been scammed. I also searched the internet for the most popular ones, and I decided to list all of them in this video for one reason, so you can understand them and not get scammed yourself. I highly recommend you watch the entire thing to make sure you don't fall for one of these scams, as you're gonna see later on in the video that all it takes is for you to turn off your brain for 3 seconds, and all of the items you work so hard for can be gone just like that. Furthermore, if you know about scams that are not showcased in this video, please consider adding them to the comment section down below so others can read them and avoid them as well. Now, firstly, nobody wants to admit they got scammed, but surprisingly, this happens to a lot of people. You feel humiliated, how can you fall for this? You blame yourself, you blame Jagex, you feel ashamed. But don't worry, this happens to a lot more people than you expect, because A, it's literally meant for one purpose, to catch players off guard, and B, it's human nature to make mistakes. Honestly, we're really good at it. So let's start from the top. Number 1. This is one of the most common scams I've seen nowadays, which is the scammer asking you to download a RuneLite Extra plugin. It seems stupid, right? Well, it's all about social engineering. These scams take place mostly in raids lobbies, so Tombs of a Mascot lobby, Chambers of Serik, and so on. Oftentimes they have very high level gear, sometimes items like Max Cape, Full Dorva, Twisted Pose, whatever to make them seem more trustable. They approach you and start with simple questions like, do you know how to raid? Do you want to learn raiding better? We can help you if you want to do a few raids together. After a few raids, you get more comfortable and you now spend hours with these guys, so you jump into a Discord call with them, and sometimes these scams can take up to a few days or even weeks of social engineering. But after all of that, they earn your trust, and that's when the question comes up. Do you have a RuneLite Extra? Do you have RuneLite Pro? Do you have this crazy good client with extra plugins? First of all, no such thing exists. There is only one version of RuneLite and that's it. Side note, when you Google RuneLite without adblock, the first option that comes up oftentimes is a fake site, and Google promotes this site, so please look out for that and don't download a fake RuneLite that will steal all your info. Okay, so there is no such thing as RuneLite Pro, but by now you and the boys have raided for so long and you feel like they're your friends, because for the past few days or maybe even weeks, they have been sweet talking with you, trying to convince you that they just want to help. So you download the fake RuneLite Pro client, put in your credentials, and unfortunately that's the end of your account. These clients are set up so they get all of your information required to hack your account, including your authenticator, bank pins, passwords, you name it. Once you download it, it's already over, so always be careful whenever someone sends you a sketchy link. Number 2. It's not only with raids though, they are trying to earn your trust any way they can, and like I said, sometimes if you have high value items, these scams take weeks to accomplish. Maybe at the start they just ask for simple things like, hey, I am at GE limit for this item, could you help me out? And I'll pay you back more just to ease into it. And weeks after small talk, they ask you to download some crazy software that tracks all of the trades and helps you make millions of GP per hour. The end result for them is always the same. One unfortunate player made a thread on Reddit about this exact situation. He got scammed for 4 billion GP worth of gear, because even though typing all of what happened out seems so obvious, at the time he was very oblivious to this, and spreading awareness is the most important part of all of this. Number 3. Okay, let's talk about a few simple scams that are circulating the community right now, specifically in GE. One of those scams is this. Oftentimes people spam in the GE that they're trying to sell their bank for 10 million GP. Easy enough, right? They put up the offer and the value comes up to almost 15 million GP. That seems like a great deal. What they don't show is the one item in the list that has so much higher value than the actual price of the item. In this case, it's a picture that's few years old with a new potion called Menafied Remedy. The GE value showcases like 4,000 each, but in reality it's less than 1k each. So this trade in truth is worth only like barely 5 million GP, but the money the scammer gets is 10 million GP. This isn't the only item. There are multiple items out there that have much higher GE value than the actual price, and that often comes with new updates, and the reason is because Jagex doesn't want new items to spike too hard in order to protect the economy. Rest assured, when something is too good to be true, just decline the trade and go back to your grind. Number 4. The second GE scam I wanna show you is this. Let's say you're wearing a twisted bow in GE and someone comes up to you saying, I'm gonna give you 100 million GP if you trust trade this twisted bow to anyone in the game. Obviously what you can do is trust trade it to either your second account or someone who actually trusts, like a sibling or your best friend. You go back to trade the item over again, but meanwhile the scammer logged in with the exact same name where only a minuscule thing was changed, like making a lowercase I for an uppercase I. And while the scammer stands under you with a different name, the hope here is that your friend doesn't notice and instead trades over the twisted bow to them. Again, it seems very obvious in this situation, but all it takes is 3 seconds of turning your brain off, not correctly reading the name, and you could have lost the twisted bow forever. This is a very expensive scam as you do need a bond every time to change your name, so this is more uncommon than most scams, but it does happen. Number 5. This is actually quick and easy and kinda funny. Someone comes up to you and promises you 10 million GP if you can answer a single question right. You think this is easy, no harm done, and you can just go for it because you can just Google any answer. The question is something like this: who played the chimney sweeper in Mary Poppins? Very innocent question, you Google it and the answer is Dick Van Dyke. You type it out to chat and they log out. You go on with your day until you realize you've just been muted for 1 week because someone reported you for offensive language. Yeah, that's the entire scam. It could be any question, but the premise will always be the same. Though it might look innocent, they want you to say something that doesn't get filtered out, and it's an automatic mute for you. Number 6. Next one on the list is a popular scam that you might have also seen in KriibusFC video. The premise is simple. They want you to wear an outfit for a video that they're doing and promising you to keep it. Usually it's full gilded worth millions of GP, so this might look very tempting. Deep down, however, this is a multi-operational scam involving sometimes even up to 5 or 6 people. They wanna record the video always somewhere remote that has weird mechanics when it comes to PvP, like Fossil Island, Pest Control, Khazar Docks, Shazian Bank, locations that players don't know where the PvP line starts. So it's easier for the scammer to trick you. You follow along with all the steps they tell you, lower your hit points, wear your items, come to this specific tile. You already know what's going on and you think you can anti-scam them, but in reality they want you to think you can get away with it because they are already 4 steps ahead of you. You've been social engineered since the scam started like 15 minutes ago and they want you to think you're smart and you can get away with this. They want you to pull out your gear to trust trade it. They want you to compete against other quotation mark victims who actually are in on the scam, and the end result will always be the same. You step out on the PvP line and get one shot, losing all your valuables. To find out more about this exact scam, I highly recommend you go watch KriibusFC's video where he goes deep into how these people are trying to stay few steps ahead of you at all times. It's a really interesting topic and maybe it will help you avoid these scams in the future. Number 7. This is a similar scam but in a different location and under different circumstances, and it also happens near the Ferox Enclave. Usually the scammers drop an item outside the wilderness where the teleport spot is. So when you come from a Slayer task or if you're recharging your stats through the pools in Ferox Enclave, you see a shiny item just outside with your full gear and no players around. You go through the safety barrier and just then someone teleblocks you and you can't enter back to Ferox Enclave anymore. The concept is the same though. They want you to step over the PvP line with valuables so they can simply snipe you. Number 8. On the black market, there have been numerous occasions where players sell their accounts that have the silver player moderator crown attached to it. Sometimes these accounts can be worth upwards of $5,000. The reason scammers need these accounts is because when you see that silver crown in game, you immediately gain trust towards that player because Jagex personally made them a player moderator, meaning that character is very trustworthy. This can go down a weird pattern where they try to scam you in multitude of ways, starting with something simple like not splitting the loot even though it was agreed upon, to even something like muting people who they don't like and using the same methods I showcased before to lure people out in PvP worlds. This is just a reminder that despite them having the silver crown in front of their name, you shouldn't do what they ask, and instead if you see something suspicious, just report them and let Jagex take care of it. Number 9. This is a tough one because I know a lot of people are looking for friends when playing Runescape, and oftentimes you're willing to bend backwards just to stay close with someone. anyone, even going as far as lending them hundreds of millions of GP. This oftentimes happens in Discord servers where players join up, start chatting, earning your trust, and then asking you to borrow them money, promising you to give it back as soon as they get a drop or something. Weeks go by, they still won't give you money back, coming up with excuses, and at one point they just basically tell you to stop bothering them and you're never getting the money back. This is all about trust, and if there is one thing you should keep in mind is that never trust anyone on Runescape. That is the golden rule, and no matter how much it gets said by everyone, there's always someone who falls for these scams. Do not lend people money on Runescape, because if you do, it's much more likely that you will never get that money back again. Number 10. Let's move to outside of the game and talk about those scams as well. I think anyone who has browsed the Twitch section of Oldschool RuneScape has seen how oftentimes there is a channel that personates a big Oldschool RuneScape streamer like Bodhi or Wooks. And the title usually goes like, I'm quitting RuneScape, giving away everything, or Jagex is releasing a new update. Simple enough to detect for 99.9% of players, knowing it's a scam. But the reason why after years they still do it is because it works and it's still profitable. What they do is there is a link in the description of the stream, and once you click on the link they ask you to put in your email and password. Then they ask you for your authenticator, and if you still haven't caught on, they also ask for a bank pin, which Jagex never asks you for. The problem is these sites are identical one-to-one from the RuneScape layout site that it's almost impossible to see any differences. And by the time you do notice, all of your stuff is gonna be gone. Another thing with similar idea is email scams. Throughout years there's been few times where Jagex database has been leaked, and with that millions of email accounts are revealed to everyone. What the scammers do is they buy a list and send a very convincing email to all of those accounts. Again, like with any scam, 99% of players understand this. All you really have to do is take a look at the email account and it's immediately clear that this is not Jagex. For instance, look at this picture. It seems very convenient at first look and nothing seems wrong. Well, this is a scam. It's an email sent from a real world trading website, and this isn't even part of the leaked emails. This is just a user using the same email account on this sketchy website as they're also using for their in-game character. Another example, oftentimes Jagex does surveys to see what people like. At the same time Jagex pushes out their surveys, people also send emails like this. It seems legit. Do you want to participate in this survey? We give out $50 Amazon gift cards, and so on and so on. The best way to avoid these scams is if something is promised to you, like promos, free stuff, filling out surveys, just don't click on the email and instead just go to the Oldschool RuneScape webpage. And those are top 10 most popular scams currently in Oldschool RuneScape. If you have any more scams you've seen or want people to be aware, please leave a comment down below. But that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you all tomorrow with another one.